let's talk about CSS inheritance and conflicts. And I think the easiest way to describe this is really in two very simple steps. Last right wins, and whatever closest describes the item wins.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we're going to break all of that down. But if you keep those two things in your head, you'll be just fine in, I think, every case. All right. So, cascading, like we said, it's right there in the name. Conflicts are expected. But conflicts only arise if something says do one thing and something else on that exact same property said do something else. So if it happened to be one thing said do red, another thing did do blue, that's a conflict. In our case, that wasn't a conflict because we said we wanted the font to be something and we said we wanted the color to be something. No conflict there. So those are simply combined. So the question then becomes, all right, well, what about inside of a conflict? Well, step one, last right wins. And everything is going to be applied in order. So the first thing that's actually going to be applied, and it's reverse on my slide because I was trying to show whatever the most powerful was.
Yeah.
It's reverse on my slide here. It's going to apply first, we'll do it that way, there we go, the external style sheet. Then it's going to apply the style section, and then it's going to apply the style attribute. Or if you like to be kind of a more positive person, then the style attribute takes precedence, and then it's the style section, and then it's the external style sheet. So let's do this. Let's actually get in and do a demo here and kind of see that in action. Perfect. All right, so let me maximize that, and let me sneak on into here, and I'm going to say add, and I want a style sheet. And actually, you know, I'm going to be kind of a good developer here. I'm going to create a brand new folder, and I'm going to say styles, and I'm going to add it into there. Style sheet. Perfect. And let's just call this index, kind of match the name of the page. There we go. All right. And now what I'm going to do inside of here is I'm going to say pound title. So if you remember, we had a class already called title, and see, I told you I was going to do it at some point. Dot title. There we go. Told you I was going to do it. And let's go ahead and say color colon, and let's say red. So just to kind of review here, you're going to notice blue here, red there. So let's kind of see what happens. Let me make sure that I link this, and I love this about Visual Studio. Just simply drag drop.
And it's linked, wow.
Yep, just like that. So it's already got everything. It doesn't put in the type equals, and that's fine. You really don't actually need that.
Yeah, CSS is default.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So let's go ahead and save that. Let's bring back up my browser. And what you're going to notice is that sure enough, my title is still blue. Why is it blue? The reason that it's blue is because that was set on the external file. We said on the actual HTML file that we want that to be blue here, so blue is going to win. And you'll also notice that if I go back in and I select that in the F12 tools, I love this about the F12 tools, that we can actually see that, there we go, in action down below. So you'll notice down below, there's our little div, okay, that we were expecting. And right here are the two classes. And I can see where those were applying from. And you'll also notice it does give me little score things as well. And if we want to get really, really technical, there are score things that apply with CSS. But I always think it's just simpler. Last right wins, and whatever best describes the element. Just stick to that, and that's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Yeah. But you'll notice right here, that's crossed out. So we can see the browser saw it. The browser saw that external file. The browser saw, hey, we want the color to be red. But it said, wait a minute, no. Something else wins. And it's going to have that blue win. So you'll notice that the red is all crossed out blue wins.
Yeah, and what's nice about the F12 tools is if you deselect, the title color attribute, you can see what would happen.
Yep, exactly. So just like Helen mentioned, let's actually just do that. So let's take away that little title right there, and now you'll notice that it changes to red. So it's a nice way that you can go in and play around with things to kind of see that in action, kind of test to see how things would work. And you'll actually notice there are tools. I want to say the name of the tool is Sidewaffle. I think that's the name of the tool.
I haven't heard of Sidewaffle.
Sidewaffle. So it's a little add-on that you can go get. John Galloway loves Sidewaffle. It's a little add-on that you can go get, and it does an awful lot of like little add-on tools with CSS and things like that. And I want to say that one of the features for Sidewaffle is that it will give you the ability to go in and play around with this and have it automatically update inside Visual Studio. So kind of a slick little tool there. I want to say it's Sidewaffle. I'm gonna check at break. Okay. All right. In the meantime, let's go back in and kind of keep playing around here. So you'll notice again that external, that internal. Let me also do this real quick. I'm going to just say manage NuGet packages. And just because I'm willing to bet that somebody listening is playing around with Bootstrap. And one of the things about Bootstrap is that Bootstrap can be very overwhelming. And because there's, a billion different classes that are inside of there. I don't think I'm exaggerating by that much. But there's like a billion different classes and so forth. And so a lot of people will see Bootstrap and they'll just start to go, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with all of this. And they get very overwhelmed when they want to go in and play around with the style that Bootstrap is going to provide. Well, here's the thing, is the styling that Bootstrap is using is doing CSS. So all of the same rules apply. So let's say that right here, I dragged out the Bootstrap min CSS, there we go. And down below, I said div, class equals, and let's say Jumbotron, and let's say div and hello Bootstrap. There we go. And let's go in and say Bootstrap. Okay, and so you'll notice that we get that little gray background, we get the font and all of that. All of that is coming in from Bootstrap and the Jumbotron class. We can overwrite that. So if I want the text inside of Jumbotron to be blue, for example, fine. Then all I would have to do is just simply say style, and then dot Jumbotron, and then right inside of here, I can just say color, blue. Let's save that. Let's come back over here, hit refresh, and you'll notice that it's blue. And again, if you want that in an external file, let's just cut that real quick. And I'm just going to put it into my style section. I'm kind of keeping it separate from the other one, style sheet. And I'm going to say Bootstrap demo. There we go. And let's just paste that inside of there. There we go. Save. And let's just do a drag and drop here. And you'll notice I just need to make sure that it's after. Last right wins. So I'm just putting it after the original Bootstrap. There's my custom one. Let's go in, hit save. Let's come back over here, hit refresh. And you'll notice it's still blue. So when it comes to Bootstrap, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that we've got an awesome Bootstrap MVA. But when it comes to Bootstrap, Bootstrap can be very overwhelming because of all the different classes. But at the end of the day, what is it?
CSS.
And all the same rules still apply.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we should also mention that there's another way to overwrite CSS properties, override CSS properties, and it's not recommended. Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Go for it.
It's the important property.
Okay.
So for instance, if you have two properties that are in conflict, and one is maybe high, or one is not exactly the last right. If you put in exclamation mark important after the property, it will become more important and overwrite that style. This is not a good practice. You should not use this, but it is one of the ways that you see a lot of people overwriting styles.
I would see that getting very messy very quickly.
Use it sparingly, preferably not at all, but it is there.
Okay, it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Now, let's kick on back to slides here. We've got just one last little conflict here that's worth highlighting, and that's in the case of an element. So what happens if maybe we had something that was set for a div tag and for a class? And one was supposed to be red, one was supposed to be blue. What do we do in that case? And the best way to describe this is whatever best describes the element. So if I just say globally I want all div tags to be something, that's going to apply first. And then if I say I want classes to be, or a particular class to be something, that's going to apply second. And then the ID is going to apply third. Again, last right wins. Or if we want to be kind of the more positive way, what's going to be more important? ID is more important, and then class, and then element. Or if we break this down and actually just, look at it, just do a demo. I like demos. Let's go in and just do a demo. So let me do this. I'm going to just sneak right down here, and I'm just going to say div, and I'm going to say class equals title, and I'm going to say ID equals green. And this is our conflict. Here, we'll make it, conflict with exclamation points. Ah. All right. So let's, for right now, just go in and say color colon red, and let me go like this. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you ready for this?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. So our little conflict text here. Mm-hmm. So you'll notice that right now I've got a div on it, and I've got my class equals title. So you'll notice on div I've got red, you'll notice my class title I've got blue. What color do you think conflict is going to be in?
It would be whatever is closest. So I would say blue.
There you go. And it's going to be blue. So sure enough, our conflict is blue. Now, let's go in and add on our ID as well. I love IntelliSense. There we go. And let's go in and say color colon green. And then we'll come back over here. And now if I hit refresh, what you're going to notice is that it's green. So for the element, then for the class, then for the ID, ID is going to win. So whatever best describes the element. Now, the easiest way to handle conflicts, I think, in general, is try to avoid them whenever possible, just because it can get very messy very quickly if you're not careful. And again, if you're ever not sure, the F12 tools do such a great job of showing you exactly what's going on there. And again, you'll notice kind of the scores at the end there. So that had the highest score, which is why that won. But again, I always think it's simpler. Just element, class, ID. Just sort of keep that, and the rest is pretty straightforward from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I see a lot of people are asking about, is Bootstrap the alternative to CSS? What is the difference between Bootstrap and CSS?
That's a great question. All right. So in a nutshell, Bootstrap is a template. Bootstrap is an out-of-the-box set of JavaScript files and CSS that's going to be designed to help make it easier to lay out a site, because it does a lot of things automatically for you. So for example, let's come back over here to my little Visual Studio, my very simple little index HTML. And you'll notice that with my index HTML, I've got nothing here. There's no automatic banner, there's no automatic button style, there's nothing. Now, I can add all of that if I want to, but I get nothing here. What Bootstrap does, and let me actually just create a brand new MVC project, just because it's got that Bootstrap automatically there, and I think it's going to be kind of an easy way to highlight Bootstrap. So I'm just going to do that real quick. Chugga, 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 chugga. And moving your mouse makes it go faster. There we go. Okay, and let me just make sure that that's set as my startup. Set as startup. There we go. Okay, and let me launch this. So what you're going to notice is MVC by default uses Bootstrap. And what Bootstrap is going to do is it's going to give me a lot of different components and a lot of built-in classes that I can use. So once this comes up here, you'll notice this huge block right here in the middle. That's the Jumbotron class. And so that's what's making that gray, that's what's making that a bigger font. You'll notice that the button here has little rounded corners on it, it's got that blue background, and again, that's because of yet another class inside of Bootstrap. And you'll actually notice, if I do this, content and Bootstrap CSS, here is all of the different classes that have been defined inside of Bootstrap and all of the different defaults that it's going to set on all of the different elements inside of there. So Bootstrap isn't a replacement for CSS. Bootstrap uses CSS. Bootstrap is an out-of-the-box set of CSS classes and defaults and otherwise that you can use. And what's also nice about Bootstrap is the fact that it is, it's an open standard. I think it's the best way to put it. It was put out there by Twitter. And so there's a great community around Bootstrap. And you can find all sorts of different Bootstrap themes out there. So you can just drag and drop that onto your project and poof, it will automatically look like that theme. Now, at that point, the next question might become, well, wait a minute, if Bootstrap is going to do all of this for me, why am I going to stop and learn CSS? Well, because if you want to tweak something, you're still going to need to know CSS. So using Bootstrap doesn't take away the need to know CSS. It makes a lot of things easier, but you are still going to need to know CSS. So that way, if you want to go in and tweak one little thing, that you know how to do that. I think that's sort of the best way that I could describe Bootstrap versus CSS.
Exactly. I mean, Bootstrap at the end of the day, all the styling is done by CSS, or I should say most of the styling is done by CSS.
Yep.
But I mean, it'll do the heavy lifting for you, but any tweaks you want to make, you'll still have to do that using CSS.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Cool. Well, with that, what do I say we take a break?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see you back here soon, in a couple of minutes.
In about 10 minutes. So we'll see you guys then.